Hello everybody, this is the first time ever that I am going live on YouTube. I'm like, oh, I should have done my hair first really, shouldn't I? I didn't like make an effort or anything. What I'm going to do, my light seems very bright. Hold on, let's adjust the light here because it's a little bit bright. Oh, we're getting right. Yeah, there we are. It was way too bright. So this is the first time I've ever gone live on YouTube, which is really odd because I am super familiar with going live on other platforms. That's how I built my business. I run an online coaching business. For those of you who are new to me and find me here on YouTube, hello, hi, I'm Laura. It's lovely to meet you. I am going to, before we start recording, I'm going to just, what am I going to do? I'm going to send an email. That's what I'm going to do, letting people know that I'm live on YouTube for the very first time because it's very exciting. So I'm also realizing that the way that I normally record my podcast requires an adapter that I can't use while I am plugged in here. Finn, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you go downstairs and ask your dad if there's been any mail? Because I ordered a little adapter. Has he gone already?
I think it came here.
Can you go get it? That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. That would be amazing.
Did you tell them that?
You know, but you can come and introduce yourself in a second if you'd like. I'll wait
Okay.
for you. Finn is here. Let me go ahead and send this link. And I'm going live to record podcast ep on YouTube for the very first time. If you fancy a peek, sending this to my masterminders. And there we go. I was even thinking we could do things like co-working here and all those kind of things would be good.
I'm not sure if this is it, but...
Oh, no, that's not it. Come in here, though. This is Finn.
Hi.
Say hi to YouTube.
Oh, it's flipped.
It's flipped. It is flipped, isn't it? That's funny that we see it differently. You don't have access to this feature. What is that? Manage. I don't know what that is. We're looking at all the features. This is brand new to me. So, okay. Is there any mail? Because I think it might be in the mailbox.
Wait, the mailbox?
Yeah, which is outside.
Oh, bullshit.
Your dad will need to help you because you'll need the key to unlock it. So I've come on here and I'm like, oh, I'm going to record the podcast here. And now I'm like, just realizing that the adapter that I need, because this mic is currently plugged into here. Here's the problem. I want to record the podcast and I usually record it. It's a very simple process. I have an external mic. I have this mic and I could just use the audio from YouTube, but I was planning to record it using this mic separately and I record it directly into my phone, into voice notes. And however, the issue is, if I get to the end, this has a USB and it's okay, Finn. It's okay. Oh, oh, bless him. This doesn't plug straight into my phone because obviously USB-C, USB. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Nothing.
It's okay. What? Nothing came?
No.
No. Oh, bless him. Poor Finn's tired today. So that's the bit I'm working out what to do. How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? I know, maybe I don't need this microphone for this. Maybe I'm just going to disconnect. I've overcomplicated this. I got excited and I've committed before I'm ready. Let's think this through. I need the adapter that is currently in the back of the computer with this mic and my webcam so that this mic can go into my camera. So I'm going to have to disconnect this one, which will make it just my webcam. Let's see what happens if I unplug this. because this is the best solution. Let's see. So we should have switched. Maybe I was already using that camera. Oh, that's why it looks so different, because I hadn't selected that camera. Okay, so I probably wasn't even using this microphone. So we can push that one out of the way. We don't need it. Okay, should have started this over. All right, let's get sorted and do what I was going to do. So you're in the literal behind the scenes with me right now, because I am going to YouTube podcast recording live. I'm going to send an email so that people know if they want to come and join me, they can, and that's great. Everybody will get it. So you're getting all the behind the scenes before I actually start recording, and then I'll talk to you about how I do it, and then we'll go from there. Live on YouTube for the very first time. Join me. Hi. First name.
Did you just put the link down in the description?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm live on YouTube right now for the first time ever. About to record the latest episode of the Phenomenal Living podcast live. Join me here. Nervous and excited. Okay. All right, let's send that and then we can dive in. So let's go here. Fantastic. It's so funny because when you're starting something brand new, it's like, if I start something brand new, I'm right at the beginning again, right? It's like being a first timer. Oh, my broadcast, my email can't be sent yet. It needs to have at least one recipient. It should go to everybody. Let's make sure that it can go to everybody. Good. Save and continue. Hi, guys. I can see there's 2 people there. I don't know who it is because it's not like where it pops up and tells me, or Instagram, they tell me as well. Feel free to just say hi on the comments so I know who's here. And thank you. Thank you for being here. This is the first time ever going live. And I am a little bit like, ooh. Okay, save and continue. And then send right now. I should have been a bit more organized and done this sooner. But here we are. We're here. We're moving. All right. Okay, so here's what we do. So today's episode is going to be, normally, if I do this in future, I promise to be quicker. So I've ordered a new one of these. This is a USB to USB-C adapter, and I've ordered one specifically so that I can be doing this into my phone at the same time as this would normally be plugged into my computer with my proper webcam. This is just straight out the computer, and my big microphone. So usually you'll have better audio, better video, and all of those things. But for today, this will do. So I am literally plugging in. So I have this microphone, which is what I am recording into, connected to this device. And then it literally is being plugged right into the end of my phone. So I am popping my case off just to make sure that I get a really good connection. And then what I do to record, this is really technical and really advanced, is I'm going straight into the good old, cheers, voice notes app. So I am going to be recording the podcast straight into the voice notes app, and you get to hear it being recorded live before it hits the podcast. If you would like to subscribe to the podcast to hear, there's like 65 episodes in there. You can go and listen back to those if you would like to. I'm a bit more organized than I'm currently being. And yeah, what else do I need to tell them? Do they need to know anything else? Finn's over here behind the camera just now. I think we're good to go. So
We had an old YouTube channel.
I had an old YouTube channel. I did have an old YouTube channel.
Everyone was a lot younger.
Yeah, that is right. That is absolutely right. So, okay, I've got all these pop-ups that I'm just making sure I've got everything sorted. So we are good to go. All right, so I'm going to hit record. I'm going to be recording. Hi, Sarah. I feel like Sarah, this is so exciting. I've never been live on YouTube before. I've just spent nearly 10 minutes faffing with getting started. And Sarah, actually, who's here, is the person who is solely responsible for the return of the podcast, because I know it's so cool. Right, I'm going to just turn my light down a little bit more because it's just a little bit bright, given that I'm just sitting here looking at myself. And yes, you can do it. So apparently I'm supposed to ask you to give a thumbs up to the live stream. Apparently that helps. And yes, comments help.
It's a like.
It's a like, sorry. Finn's here, my YouTube manager, to educate me on all things YouTube, because I don't really know how YouTube works.
Also, once you've subscribed,
Yeah.
hit the notification bell
Okay. Do you hear that?
to make sure that you get notified when she posts a new video.
Okay, so once you have subscribed, make sure you hit the notification bell. I don't know where that is, so that you get a notification when I have a new video. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So we're good. Oh, it's so exciting. Okay. I think we're ready to do this. So yes, so Sarah has listened to my podcast 3 to 4 times now, and from start to finish, which is just incredible to me. And just the other day was asking me about, well, actually she wasn't asking me about new episodes, but I've been saying for ages I'm bringing it back. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's go time. So this is the entirety of my setup. It is voice note app in iPhone and microphone. Now this microphone, I don't even know if they still make it. It's not new. It was really affordable. I think I paid.
That was the old one.
This is the old one, but this one's a bit more fancy. This one was premium microphone. But this one it's so easy. This one has like all the setup on my desk, but this one is so light, and I just take this everywhere with me for travel. So this one, and before when I had a podcast, it was this mic sat at the desktop, like an editor, a copywriter, a Facebook ads person. Like there was a whole infrastructure, and it really meant that the reason I stopped recording the podcast is because it was just so much heavy lifting, and I didn't want to. I didn't know how to start that up again because I don't have a podcast editor anymore, and I didn't know how to balance the sound when it comes through. Can't even remember what that little machine's called, whatever that is. That's how technical I am. Just the other day, I was like, I've got this microphone, which I love the sound of. It is a Samsung Q2U. That is the brand that it is. And like I said, it could plug into my machine and all the rest of it. It could get fancy, but I just use it on the go, plugged straight into my iPhone, like I said. So, all right, we're going to start recording, okay? Okay. So this podcast episode is going to be about my breakup with alcohol. It's going to be really interesting because I'm going to be talking into the phone, but I don't have to hold it because I'm talking into the microphone. I am live, but this is going to be a recording. So I won't be able to chit chat and what have you. Got it? I will say before I go live, or maybe I'll say it after I go live, after I'm finished recording. I'm expecting it to be about 20, 25 minutes. I can see something on my top. I don't know what it is. That's nice, isn't it? Don't know what it is. A little bit of fluff that is stuck on there. Maybe. Okay, so I have been watching live streamers who go into Disney theme parks and are live everywhere. And then when I was like, I want to be live streaming. I love live streaming. I built my business predominantly off the back of live streaming using platforms like Periscope. Does anybody remember Periscope? I loved Periscope so much. And Facebook, and now Instagram, and now YouTube. So it's so funny that it's taken me such a long time to get here. But here we go. Okay. So I'm going to take a sip of water first before I hit record. You okay? All right, let's go. So I am going to, feels funny. I feel like you guys are here watching me. We could do co-working and things on a live stream. I'm like, this is quite exciting. I'm really here for whatever this gets to be. I'm going to hold this a bit, I think. Even that's got fluff on it. I think it's just the light that's picking things up because with my eyes, I can't really see fluff on the microphone. So anyway, you okay? Can you see it?
You can't see the fluff.
He's come to check.
It's right there.
That's okay. It's not impacting its sound. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to hit recording. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Phenomenal Living podcast. I am your host, Laura Hassan, and this is really exciting because for the first time ever, not only am I recording a podcast episode, and actually I made a promise to myself that to get back on the horse, as it could be, I was going to record one episode every day for 7 days. And this is day 3 of keeping that promise to myself. But not only am I keeping my promise to myself, right now as I record, I'm also live on my brand new YouTube channel, which is really exciting. So for future, I will try. I have sent out an email. So if you wanted to come and join me live and you happen to be able to, you were welcome to come. But also feel free to check me out on YouTube. You can type in Phenomenal Living, Laura Hassan, or my channel name is at Laura Phenomenal Living. I had to stumble through that then for a minute. So much slowness for me. So I'm embracing a whole new way of being. Now, this is really interesting because this comes off the back of, and I want to say firstly, I've got no notes in front of me. This is just me recounting how this has gone for me. And I'm going to start as at the beginning as I am consciously aware this goes, but it probably goes way back even before that. So the first thing is that for a long time, I remember going, this was, I think, 2017, that I went on a retreat in Florida. And it was all about, it was unlocking your inner medium. That was what it was about. An incredible host called Lindsay Marino. And I went on that retreat and I remember thinking, if I want to be a clear channel for whatever, whether it is, mediumship wasn't something I necessarily wanted to step into fully, but it was something I was really curious to, well, firstly, just see if I could even do. And just to go from there, it was like a challenge for me. And what happened off the back of that is that I had this awareness that if I want to be able to, I really trust my intuition. That is really key for me. And trust is my top value. So if I really want to be able to trust my intuition, I need to be as clear a channel as possible. Whatever's coming through me has to come through in its cleanest, purest form. And so I had this awareness and I kept it quiet at that time. I don't remember if I'd had this thought prior to that retreat. I know that it kind of, if I'd had it before, it was wisps of knowing, and it really took root on this retreat because, so that was 2017. And I remember thinking, alcohol, much as I love a cocktail at sunset. And I mean, honestly, before the retreat, I remember her saying that there's no alcohol on retreat. And I was like, but we're literally in the perfect scenario for sunset cocktails. Like, we're by the waves. We were watching the sunset every day. There was a beach bonfire one night where we had a ceremony. And I was like, this would be the perfect time and place to have a cocktail. And I really noticed my feelings around that. And I was judging myself for it quite harshly. And following that, I kept on having this circling thought that I knew the truth was that in order to really embrace clarity and this like clear, I call it a channel, and I don't mean like channeling. I just mean if we are receivers of anything, in order to receive a clear message, we need to be clear. And I was absolutely certain that alcohol was not benefiting that clarity at all. Like at the time, it felt fun. And sometimes I used to say, oh, I'm even better once I've had a cocktail, like, as a joke, because I stopped caring so much or stopped judging myself, kind of loosened up a bit. But this was the first seeds of awareness. And I really felt this, like, I don't want to say this out loud, because if I say it out loud, I can't pretend it's not true. And I couldn't have shared this with you as that version of me, because even though I was like dancing with the idea of like, well, maybe I won't have alcohol on the days I'm going to blah, 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 whatever, whatever conditions I wanted to place around it, really, I was just making excuses to carry on. Now, like I said, that was 2017. And it took me, what year are we in? It took me 6 years of dancing back and forward with that knowing before I was finally ready to make a commitment to myself that this, yeah, thank you so much. That's it. Finn's just bought me the adapter we need. Thank you, Finn. That this, I was ready to make the commitment to myself. And it is a commitment to myself. And the funny thing is that in that time where I didn't want to tell anybody else and I didn't want to say it out loud, it wasn't because I was worried about what people would think about my relationship with alcohol, because I've never been worried about that. Like, I've never been, well, actually, it's funny because that's not true. As I say that, I was about to say I've never been addicted to alcohol. I think anybody who drinks alcohol is addicted to alcohol. And I know that's a very controversial, very bold statement to make, but there is an addiction there, because if there was not an addiction, it doesn't mean I'm an alcoholic, and it doesn't mean that I can't get through my day without a drink. But if the idea of putting alcohol down for any extended period of time, let alone forever, is daunting to you, or you can't comprehend it, that is an addiction. Right? No matter, and actually Alan Carr, who has the series of books, The Easy Way or The Only Way to whatever, give up smoking, give up alcohol, give up sugar. I think he's got a whole series of them now, probably even more than those. He talks about the fact that it's not whether you're addicted or not, it's just how far in you are to your addiction. And so for those of us who would talk about social drinking and social alcohol relationship, where like alcohol isn't really a thing unless I'm out on a night out or it's a special occasion, what have you, we're right at the top level, like right near the surface. Whereas if we're in a situation where we're like, I can't get out of bed in the morning without reaching for the bottle, you know, we're closer to the core. So it's a very different place to be, but we're still on the same path. It's just that we're at different depths of that relationship. So I really hope that makes sense. And I know that that's going to be really confronting for some of you to hear. I could probably end the episode here. I'm not going to, because this is about my journey of breaking up with alcohol. And so I wrote a post about this last week, and I actually was talking about the clean framework, because the clean framework has been something that I knew, I didn't know it by name, but I knew I was creating for a long time. I was looking for a way to create a condensed version of the process that I lead people through, whether it's in my paid programs, whether it's on retreats, whether it's working one-to-one, or any other capacity in how I work with people. The concept is the same. And that is what has culminated in the clean framework. Now, the clean framework is something that I could not put out into the world. And it's been around me for years of like, why can't I put this out? Why can't I put this out? And it's because I was internally doing this back and forward dance with alcohol that made me feel like if I can't even embody it for myself, I can't teach it. I can't share it with the world. I can't own it fully if I'm not living it. And so I walked my talk. And the summer of 2023, I remember how this happened. So I'm going to talk now just about what actually happened for me. So summer 2017, I had the awareness that probably it was going to have to go at some point. And then I was like, Urgh. And I've done a few posts on Instagram here or there. I've written about it. I've talked about it here or there, but I was never ready to commit. And actually, I can see now that the reason I was not ready to say it and really own it is because I knew that I would feel shameful if I said it and then didn't keep to it. And I didn't believe I could keep to it because I didn't believe I wanted to keep to it. Now, for context, my family work in the wine industry. My brother is a sommelier and an amazing mixologist. I travel a lot as part of what I do for work. And to lots of incredible locations where there are incredible opportunities for wine and food and tastings. And, you know, we've been invited into wine cellars for food and wine pairings and to special cocktail classes at sunset in the Maldives. I mean, just all of the right ingredients, you know how it is. And I appreciate that as an art form. So what I am finding in this time between 2017 and 2023 was this back and forth of knowing I wanted to give it up, but just not being able to pass up on the experience that was on offer. And this ultimately is what I'm about, right? You can distill phenomenal living down to its core essence. And what it is really about is I'm here for an experience, whether that be traveling the world in whatever class. I don't care about the class, right? I don't care about the class. Yes, it's nice to upgrade and all the rest of it. That's not what it's about for me. It's about the experience I have along the way. So if I distill down phenomenal living, it's about being able to say yes to things. And I really felt that saying that breaking up with alcohol was going to mean saying no to something that I felt was a really amazing experience. I felt that having a cocktail crafted by a world-class mixologist at Sunset, this is one of my strongholds, can you tell, was a key part of one of my travel experiences. And it was really interesting that what happened is summer of 2023, my daughter and I went to the Isle of Wight Festival. And as always at the Isle of Wight Festival, it's like there's a lot of drinks and there's a lot of all the different things going on. And I remember I just was noticing I was seeing alcohol differently. I was looking, there was nothing I wanted to drink. That was the thing that was happening. And what had happened right before that was that I started to say it out loud. I firstly was taking myself through my own process, what has become the clean framework. I started to take myself through that process of looking for what was the deepest truth I could find, and then checking to see if that actually served me and my goals and my vision, and then deciding what I wanted to do moving forward and crafting a new path. And because I had been saying that out loud, what it meant was that I was starting to believe it, right? This is what happens with the clean process is as you start to go through it, you automatically kickstart the process into what it is that I think I'm doing and where I think I'm going. I'm distracted currently because Finn's just walked up to me. Hold on a second. Yes?
Is it 3 o'clock?
I've no idea. Yes, 2 minutes to 3. Why?
Because then I can stop at 3.
Okay. I'm recording. Now I've completely lost my train of thought. I've hit pause on this.
You were talking about how you were quitting alcohol.
I know. I now don't know if I hit record again, if it's going to kick off from where it was. Let's see. I may have to stitch 2 together. That's okay. What was I saying? Right. What was I saying right there?
You were talking about your trip that you got invited to do like an alcohol thing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm going to record the rest. Okay. Okay. Real behind the scenes. Do you know what? This is the 3rd episode I've recorded this week. That's the first time I've had to pause in the middle. So I literally do not know now. Let me see. Edit recording. I'm just seeing if I go to the end, can I add on to it? Thank you, Sarah. I'm glad that you're loving the new episodes. That's good. Oh, I can resume. Okay. Some lovely sunlight coming in here today. Come on, spring. Okay. I just hit pause there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be picking up my train of thought coherently, but let's see where it goes. I'm sure we're going to get to where we're supposed to be. So I had been going through the clean framework for myself. And what was happening was I was starting to believe myself. So I began to know before I took any action. This is the key piece. I was not declaring, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to willpower it and I'm going to decide and I'm going to deprive myself and it's going to be hard. Like none of that was happening. What was happening was that I was aware. I was taking that awareness and I was starting to believe it. This was all happening internally before anything happened externally. And then at the Isle of Wight Festival, what started to happen was that it's funny because the drinks that the festival's sponsored by like a cider company and like all these different fruity flavored ciders and like with ice in the sun. They were like my favorite thing back in the day to drink. And when we were there, I was looking at the labels and the branding for the cider, and I was seeing it differently. So instead of seeing it as like, oh, wow, because I used to love the idea of like sitting in the garden, a gin and tonic with just enough ice so that the condensation was dripping down the side of the glass and that the glass looked all, you know what I mean. That was very enticing as a visual for me. And all of a sudden, that had changed. So I didn't this is why I call it breaking up with alcohol, is because when you break up in a relationship, it's already over before you decide it's over. It's already over before you declare that it's over. It dies somewhere along the line, and then at some point you acknowledge that, and then you have to face it. This is the same thing as what happened for me with alcohol. This was not a decision to like, I'm going to give it up and it's going to be hard and I'm going to, it was like, I know it. And then noticing, wow, I have no desire for that. The desire has gone. And then from there, it feels like everything's changed. And all of a sudden at that festival, I now know that after the festival, I'm not going to be drinking anymore, which is a really bizarre plot twist, because then I'm like, well, if I know I'm not going to be drinking after the festival, why am I still drinking during the festival? And on the final night of the festival, which is usually like the biggest night, I just stopped drinking. And everybody around me was like, why, what do you want to drink? It's like all a big thing, like, what are you going to have to drink? And I was like, I'll just have some water. I'm fine. And like we joke, I've got a friend called Matt. Hi, Matt. If you ever listen to this, I'm sure you won't. We joke that he's my festival husband. He's like family to us. We've grown up together. And very often we find ourselves running around the festival together. And he was disgusted because he was like, what do you mean that you don't want to drink? And I was like, no, I really, really don't want to drink. And that became the beginning of a full month where I had no alcohol. Now, no biggie. And it wasn't, but it was a biggie, because it was not about, I'm not having any alcohol, so, oh, I really want it, but no, I mustn't. I wasn't refraining from alcohol. I just it wasn't a match for me anymore. I didn't want it anymore because it wasn't a match for who I was now. My identity had changed. And that is the key important piece here. And this is the bit I really want to share. At the end of a month, it was my sister-in-law's birthday. And it was one of those environments, right? We went to the beach, we had a barbecue. They're really great at hosting experiences and events and evenings. She's so good at it. And my brother, they're both great at it. And they were drinking Aperol Spritz. And she said, would you like one? And I was like, do you know what? I actually would. And I didn't feel anything about it like, oh, you're breaking your thing or you're giving in. I didn't overthink it. I just said, sure, I would love to. Now, I had a couple of Aperol Spritzes, and then we went home. And after that, I was like, okay, well, I had drinks last night, so I'm not now on a break from alcohol. So what do I want to do here? Like, now I get to be more intentional. Now, her birthday is in July. And I was like, okay, my birthday's coming, all the rest of the things. So I decided that I was not on a break and that I would just take each opportunity and decide in the moment. That's how it was going to be. Now, what was really interesting is that I was choosing for myself very differently. I didn't choose not to have it all through the summer, but I chose to have it, I would say 80% less than I used to choose to have it. And even when I was having it, I wasn't having the same experience with it. I wasn't excited about it. I wasn't like relishing the moment and appreciating the like smells and the aromas and the sounds and the fears and all the things I used to romanticize. All of that had gone. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, if I'm not having that experience, what is the point? Like, I could just have the tonic with all the garnish in the nice glass and still have the condensation on the outside of the glass. So I started to do that. Then my sister-in-law and I, on I believe it's the 3rd of September, 2023, went to There's a well-known, I live on the Isle of Wight. Those of you who know the Isle of Wight, anybody who's ever been to the Isle of Wight always says they've been to 2 places. One of those places is Blackgang Chine. It's a theme park for children and families. It's round the corner from where I live. And everybody who's been here has had an experience there. They had an adults only party night with DJs. One of my closest friends was DJing there. Guest people, all the different things. It was all kinds of fun. And again, all the right ingredients for me. So I decided, yes, we're going to do this. And we had drinks at my house first. We went there, we had a couple of cocktails. And the cocktails that we had, the sunset was incredible that night. But the cocktails that we had just tasted rubbish. And what was really interesting was that night I was so unwell. It's very, very rare for me to be unwell related to alcohol, because I always knew my limits. I was never looking for that to be the end result. But I was really unwell. And when we got home, I was just like, I feel awful. The next day, half the day, I felt absolutely written off. And that was the moment where I was like, I now know that I'm done for a very long time. At that point, I'd not decided it was permanent, but I knew I was done for a very long time. Now, that was September, beginning of September. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll, tick along here. It's easy. It's not summer. My birthday's in August. That's gone past. I've got a clear run till Christmas. Clear. It's going to be easy till Christmas. What's interesting there is I had expected Christmas to be hard, air quotes. I thought, being around alcohol, being around other people drinking alcohol at Christmas, I'm going to have FOMO. That was my problem with alcohol, is I had terrible FOMO. I hated being the one that was driving at an event where other people were having the drinks. I really resented that, because I'm the fun one. I'm the one that, that was part of my identity. And I loved hosting. I loved all of those things. But all of a sudden, I was seeing it differently, and this was carrying through. So I had seen it differently in June at the festival. I had then made space for it to see what that was going to be like through the summer. And at the beginning of September, I was just done. It was like a switch flipped in my mind, and it was done. We got to Christmas, and while I was expecting the FOMO to hit, it just did not. The FOMO did not arrive. I was free and clear. And there were so many, I had no idea how many alcohol-free versions there were of champagne. Obviously beer, I think that was an easy one. But things like Aperol and gin, all the things I used to love that I thought I might miss. So we went to town with buying the alcohol-free versions of all the things. And the reality is I turned to sparkling water. And we still now, 2 years on, have all these, or a year and a half on, just fast track myself there. I still have all these alcohol-free alternatives in the cupboard, just in case. And I really don't reach for those at all. But what's been really interesting about that is when Christmas and New Year came and went, I was like, oh, well, if I can do Christmas and New Year and it not even be a thing, and have all my family in my house and it not be a thing, I don't think it's ever going to be a thing again. January, February, March, April, all good. Beginning of May, my brother and my now sister-in-law, Sophie, were getting married in the most beautiful grounds. And it was a big emotional time. It was a very special time in our family. I haven't talked about this here yet, but part of one of the things that happened in my hiatus from the podcast is that my mum passed away. And so it was a big emotional journey, right? Going to his wedding, going to their wedding, knowing the gap that was going to be felt there, knowing that it was my mum and her husband who run the wine company, and just feeling like there was going to be some part of me that felt like this is the occasion. If there's ever going to be a one-off exception, it's going to be now. And I went into their wedding completely open to maybe I will. And if the circumstances allow or call for it. I'm not like, I must not have alcohol because otherwise I'm breaking my thing or I'm back to square one. I was not having any of those thoughts or beliefs. And so I went into it open. And what was so incredible was that when we got from the ceremony, which was divine, so beautiful. God, I feel emotional even remembering it now. We got into this beautiful garden. We'd had such terrible weather for so long. And then all of a sudden we were in this beautiful manor house with the incredible grounds. And all of a sudden the sun and the clear blue skies were there. And it was so incredible. So again, we were in the perfect setting. The weather was just right. The sun was hitting at that beautiful angle as it is right now. Those of you who are with me on YouTube. And it would have been the perfect opportunity. And yet, when they came around with the trays of beautiful drinks, they had an alcohol-free alternative to the welcome drink. And I didn't even think about it. I just reached for the alcohol-free version. It was just so easy. And I didn't think about it again after that. They had bottles of alcohol-free fizz on the tables. There was a bottle on the table for dinner. So it was amazing. I was just like, yes, I'll have another glass of fizz. And, I felt great to be able to indulge in that way without feeling like I'm compromising myself and the things that I want for me. It felt so good. And so again, it was another one of those occasions to come and go where I was like, wow, if I went through my brother's wedding without reaching to alcohol, I can't imagine any circumstance ever again where I would feel the need. Now, I have cruised through since then. Where are we now? We're February. That was last May. It has now been, what has it been? It's just been over 17 months. I actually know that because I wrote about it the other day. I was prompted by a Facebook memory. It's been just over 17 months now since that September evening where I knew it was my last time. And at Christmas, I had 3 sips, maybe 4, of Bailey's. Now, Bailey's was something my mum used to have, and my brothers were both at my house. Bailey's was around, and I just thought, oh, I want that like nostalgic thing. It felt like a moment. And so I was like, yeah, I want a sip of that. Now, again, it didn't feel like a thing because I was like, I'm not on a streak of like, I must not break my thing. It was just like, if I want to, I will. And if I don't want to, I won't. And actually, all I wanted was the taste. That was all. I just wanted the taste. So 3, 4 sips. And it tasted nice on the first taste. But then what happened was the aftertaste, the bit where the alcohol basically kicks in, was like my senses were overwhelmed as though I was drinking straight poison. That is what it felt like. And I cannot believe how I have changed. Now, I really want to paint the picture here that I am somebody, like I said, I was always about the experience. I was about the opportunity. I was about the occasion. I loved hosting. My husband's birthday one year, we hired a mixologist to come to the house to teach us how to make cocktails. We've had so many years of experiences built around the love for the occasion, which included alcohol. And if I can become the person who's broken up with alcohol now, because I really do believe now, like I cannot imagine anything making me go back now. I cannot. I cannot. Now, here's what I haven't spoken about are the benefits. Now, those of you on YouTube, you will see, especially because the sun's coming through all nice, I'm glowing. Like my skin is glowing. People say to me all the time, wow, your skin is incredible. I'm like, I know. It didn't used to be like this, but it is incredible. My hair is different. My nails grow faster. My sleep is so good. Like it's interrupted here and now, just life in general. But my sleep now, I used to be somebody who would wake up several times through the night, or it would take me a long time to go to sleep. And now I go to sleep, I'm asleep within 15 minutes, and I'm asleep until morning unless something wakes me up. I wake up feeling fresh. My energy levels are higher. But most incredibly, I have released 35 pounds in weight I was clinging on to because alcohol, I believe, well, It's not I believe, it's true. Alcohol was helping me to numb out, even though I was not drinking daily or to excess very often. It's just enough. I read an amazing book called Unbottled Potential by Amanda Kuda. This is a really great book if you're interested or curious about this, because she talks in there about the fact that it's not just something to explore if you're an alcoholic. This is what it used to be, right? We never used to talk about people giving up alcohol unless they were an alcoholic. And now it's like, oh my goodness, if you consider that, imagine that we get to 100% of our potential. If you imagine that every time you have a couple of drinks, you dull that potential just a little bit. And then it starts to top up, and then you just dull a little bit more, and you dull it a little bit more. Your potential buffers 75, maybe 80%. You can't go beyond the level from which you keep on dampening things down. What has happened for me in that time, my anxiety, which used to be a real excruciating and paralyzing problem, has vanished. Now it's here and there, it will pop up because of actual things that I might be warranted in being concerned about or worrying about or thinking about. But day to day, the anxiety is zero. And if you had told me years ago that that would be a side effect of breaking up with alcohol, I probably would have done it much sooner, because anxiety used to cripple me. No anxiety, no unwarranted anxiety, let's put it that way. Releasing 35 pounds of weight that I just was baffled by. I was like, why have I put this weight on? When did I put it on? And why am I not letting go of it? But in this app I have, I think it's called I Am Sober. I think it is. I think it's called I Am Sober. In this app, it tracks how many calories you have saved by not drinking alcohol. And I put in that I approximated, if you think about the calories that are in all the different drinks that I might drink through an average week, I think it was probably about 400. It would average out about 400 calories a day, I think. I might be slightly overestimating, but I think if you averaged it out over the year, that's probably where it's going to sit. And so, actually, I'm going to look in my phone as I talk to you, because I actually haven't looked at it for ages. Yes, it is called I Am Sober. And, oh, there we go. I've gone past 500 days now. Next, done 521 days. That's where we are of not drinking alcohol. And then it has a section for savings. So it has the money, which is over £4,000, which is wild. Then it has time, which over 391 hours not wasted to deciding what we would drink, planning for the evening around drinks, making sure we had enough drink, recovering from drinking, all of those things. But then calories, my savings of calories are over 208,000 calories that I have not consumed in the time that I have not been drinking alcohol. So that alone is absolutely incredible. So it reckons that per month, I am saving over 12,000 calories from not drinking alcohol, and projected per year 146,000 calories. Now, that is why the weight has been released from my body and energy levels are up and all of the different things. But what I noticed is not only am I lighter, but not just the alcohol, but the other decisions I'm making for myself have changed. Like the amount of sugar that I eat has drastically changed. My sugar intake went up this Christmas and I really felt it, but my energy levels went through the floor. On it, I think I'm still dealing with that now. Honestly, I have a history with chronic fatigue syndrome from my teen years, and I have for sure been in an episode of chronic fatigue. And I am only just as I'm saying this out loud, connecting the dots, that I am sure it's directly correlated to the amount of sugar that I had over Christmas. And it really wasn't a huge amount, but just for my system compared to what it's used to, it was big. So that was my breakup with alcohol. And I really do believe it's over. I'm not pining for it. I'm not looking for replacements. And I think that's the key. This is a breakup. I have not replaced alcohol with something else, right? We got all those alternatives, which are great. If that is what you need in order to do it, great. I really do try not to be preachy about it. And I certainly don't guilt people who are drinking. I have no, you do what is good for you. But anybody who's considering it, I am the biggest cheerleader. I'm the biggest testimonial for it. I am all for it. And so if you ever come to me and say you're thinking about it, I'm never going to be like, right, I'm holding you to it, but I will ask you if I can support in any way. Because the changes I have seen, the changes my family are noticing in me, the changes of how I'm showing up in my business, the fact that even the podcast is back, like there's so many things that I'm able to do now and who I'm able to be because of the decision I've made. But not only that, it's bigger than that. It actually goes into the fact that it's because I used the clean framework to do this, to create this. Was the final piece for me in actually creating the clean framework, was being able to see for myself that I could do it, is that I now know I'm capable of anything. If this was the thing, this was a mountain for me. I didn't see myself ever being the person who wouldn't do that. And now that I know that I can, because I have, there's really no limit I can put in my own way, other than the ones that I want to pretend are in my way, for as long as I'm willing to accept that that's true. So I wanted to share this. Again, it is not for here's the manual and here's the steps and here's all the things. However, what I will say, and I did share last week on my Facebook profile, is that if it has been something you've been dancing around, and like me, there's no shame in the dance. I did the dance for 6 years and I did it in private for most of those years. It was only really in the last 6 to 8 months of the time before I really, really broke up with it that I was willing to talk about it and say it out loud, because I was so scared that somebody would hold me to it or be judging me or start to cast, concern over my habits and my relationship with drinking because I'd raised it. I was really hesitant because of that. Because, like I said, there's so much stigma and unknown about, well, really, people only give up alcohol if they're alcoholics, surely. That's no longer the case. Like, there's a huge movement around being alcohol free. There are so many benefits to it. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, I think this is the biggest question I get asked, honestly, is don't you miss it? And I don't even think about it now. I do not even think about it now. And it's funny because to me, it's a non-issue. And to other people, it's the one thing that they want to ask me about and talk about all the time. So I had to bring it to the podcast. I have probably played it down. Now, I think what would be really interesting is I'm sharing my experience of it from the inside. I think if I was interviewed about it, I might be asked questions I'm not currently thinking about. Because for me, it was a decision that had to happen. And I believe that decisions are an internal job. You can't force a decision when you are like, I need to make it, or you need to make a decision. That's not how decisions work. Decisions work when all parts of you are in agreement. And all parts of me were not in agreement for nearly 6 years. But once all parts of me were in agreement, because of going through the clean framework for myself, it was done. It was a non-thing. It was a non-drama. I was so happy to have done it. And now I'm free. And that is amazing. Okay, I'm going to wrap here. I'm going to give you another invitation to check out the clean framework. I will link to it in the show notes. And yeah, let's see. Maybe I'll ask somebody. I've got a great friend actually who I think would be great at interviewing me around this. But if you're listening to this and you're like, I've got some questions for you, please feel free to send them over, because maybe I'll compile a Q&A and do a podcast on that with the questions, because I think it would be a very different perspective on it than this one that I'm sharing with you. So I'm excited. I'm excited for those of you who are listening because you are on your own path of curiosity. I'm excited for those of you who are listening going, that's good for you, but that's not for me. That's all good. But I bet there's something else in your life that you are doing the dance around. And really just let this be the evidence for you that whatever you're dancing back and forward over, whatever you're putting off making a decision around, just know that there is a path through to the other side. There is support available and you've got this. And if you need help, please reach out. I would love to be able to support you in any way that you can. come and, as always, if you are listening to this podcast, please take a screenshot that you are listening and tag me in your stories on Instagram. It really means a lot when I know that there are people out there. I said this before, but when I do live streams, I get all the feedback and it makes me feel like, yes, good, there's people out there. When I do the podcast, although I can see the numbers behind the scenes, I always feel a little bit like I'm talking to nobody. So prove to me there are people out there. And thank you so much for spending this time with me today. As always, it's my absolute pleasure to share whatever I can that's going to help you along the next step of your journey. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now. And we're done. And we're done. And we are done. So now what do I do? Save recording. Oh, I'm glad I was able to hit continue, guys. Thank you for being here with me while I did this live. This is the little adapter thingy that I ordered yesterday because I thought actually I was going to need this. Oh, there's two of them. There you go. So the one that I'm using is big, and so it clanks around. And so I ordered these smaller ones so that if I was on the go, I could take them when I travel. There we go. Yeah, so that's going to be much better. Look at that. Instead of the big, long, dangly one, now, yeah, that's so much neater. Hopefully it sounds just as good because that other one did sound good. It feels a little bit loose, but could be to do in my case. We'll see. We'll do an experiment and we'll see, shall we? So if you are not subscribed to the podcast and you listen to this, please go and subscribe to my podcast. Is that the right words? Subscribe, follow it, download it. I don't know what the right terminology is. And thank you for being here with me on the YouTube. This was exciting to have. Definitely, you were helping me at the beginning because I was on the, oh my goodness, what have I done? I've committed to all the things. And it's so funny. I'm glad that I didn't wait to disconnect this with my big mic and the camera on because I thought that you were connected to those because it turned out you weren't. So who knew? I'm going to plug all that back in and I'm going to go get my girl from college. So yippee, I have broken my YouTube live stream. Never done it before-ness. And who knows what's going to happen from here. So big love to you. I'm going to go and publish this episode and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.